everybody, Cinema Sickness here with another weekly watch video for you, where we take a look at all the titles that I've recently been watching, and I briefly discuss them. So like always, let's just dive right into this and take a look at everything I've been checking out recently. So the first time I watched here is a movie that I actually really enjoyed, but apparently a lot of you did not. When I mentioned that I was watching this, when I posted it to cinemasickness.com and on Instagram and Facebook, I got a lot of people leaving comments saying, you know, oh, I'm sorry you're watching that, or that movie sucked. I really didn't like this movie. And I'm like, why do people not enjoy this movie? And I think I found the reason out, and the movie was The Monument Men. Like I said, I loved the absolute hell out of this one. It's all about this group of people, based on a true story, this group of people who were basically put together. It's all kinds of like art scholars put together to track down and save very important pieces of art, everything from paintings to statues and whatnot, that Hitler was basically trying to steal and destroy. Some of it he was just trying to flat out destroy. Others he was trying to steal. He was going to make this big, like, huge, like, Hitler museum and display all these pieces of art that, you know, belong to countries, belong to other people, and they didn't want all this art getting into the hands of Hitler, because who knows what he would do with it. Apparently, it was part of Hitler's plan that if he was caught, if the Reich fell, that he would just destroy this art, and it's priceless, very important pieces of art that would be gone forever. Things like the Mona Lisa and stuff like that, gone absolutely forever. We would never see it again. And these men were put in charge to do what they could to save all this art. And I thought this was just an extremely interesting movie. I think the reason why a lot of you guys left comments saying you didn't like this, and I could be wrong about this, but this is my theory. I think people were expecting more of a movie kind of like, was it The Men Who Stare at Goats? Something like that. Kind of like a witty sort of comedy, almost like a Coen Brothers type comedy. I think that's what people maybe were thinking. And with this lineup, I could see how people might have been thinking that. But it's not that type of movie. I'm still getting over my cold. I do apologize. So, it's not really that type of movie. This is a much more serious movie. It's got some funny little moments in it here and there. It's got little quirky moments that make you chuckle here and there, but for the most part, a much more serious movie. This movie takes itself pretty seriously. It's a movie about these group of men. It's based on a true story, and it's telling this story of these men, just again with a little bit of quirkiness thrown in here and there just for some fun. But it's not the big quirky movie that I think a lot of people were expecting. Even I went in this movie expecting something a lot more goofy, a lot more quirky, especially with this lineup. I was assuming that as well, and that's not what I got. But I wasn't bothered by that. I was okay with that because I loved the story. I loved hearing about these men and what they went through to save all this very important art and what they did during World War II. It's a great story that should have been told and was told, I think, pretty well. So I really enjoyed The Monuments Men. Again, I don't get all the hate for it. I think I understand why there's so much hate for it, but in the end, I loved it. I would highly recommend it. Yes, it's not the quirky movie that you might be expecting, but in the end, I thought it was a great film, and I would definitely recommend checking this one out. So the next title I watch is one that I can't physically hold up and show you, as it's something that I bought off of Ultraviolet, and that is Tromatized. Meet Lloyd Kaufman, a documentary on Lloyd Kaufman, the creator of Troma. Very interesting documentary. I love learning all about Lloyd Kaufman, just, you know, from his uprisings to how he created Troma to just all the things he did with Troma and kind of where he is now. Very interesting. Certainly learned a lot about the man that I did not know. I did not realize how smart of a man he is. This Lloyd Kaufman isn't dumb. He comes off that way. I mean, you see him, he's this zany, wacky guy, and he comes off kind of like he's you know, maybe not all there in the head, but when it comes down to it, he's actually quite smart, like genius level smart. Very brilliant man who probably could have done something very successful with his life, you know, making tons and tons of money, but instead decide to create Troma and, you know, isn't necessarily the richest man in the world, but does what he loves. And yeah, he's, you know, I also learned that the guy's kind of a dick as well. A lot of people who worked with him said, you know, we love Lloyd, he's great, he's like my father, but the guy's an asshole. I think it's really cool that he has that kind of thing going on where he he can yell at you, he can be a dick, he can do bad things to you, but in the end, you still end up loving the guy. I think that's pretty cool that he has that mentality, and people think that way of him. You know, that they're like, "Oh, guy's such an asshole," but you know what? I love him, and I think that's really, really cool. So, again, great documentary. Learned a ton about him. If you're into trauma films, if you just want to learn about Lloyd Kaufman in general, check the documentary out. It is just very well done, very, very informative, and you're going to learn a ton about Lloyd that you probably didn't know before. At least I learned a lot that I didn't know. So, very cool documentary. Definitely check that one out. So then I checked out Justice League War. Been really getting into these DC Universe movies, and I hadn't seen this one yet, so definitely wanted to check it out. It was a decent movie. I wouldn't say my favorite of the DC Universe movies, but still a good one. Very interesting take on the formation of the Justice League. It's just another... When it comes to these movies, they all kind of almost take place like in their own sort of like time period, their own sort of universe. They don't necessarily all kind of coincide with one another. If you've seen one movie, you watch another one, things are going to be completely different from one movie to the next. That's just how they go. It's taking place, again, kind of in their own little universe. So this is just another take on, like I said, the formation of the Justice League and how they came to be. It's not something that you're going to see in other cartoon or other movies or even other comic books or things you heard before. I had never heard of this story before. I've certainly heard origins of the Justice League, but I've never heard of this one before. So very interesting take on it. I love Cyborg in this. Cyborg is just... I do apologize. My cold, it's not going away. But Cyborg's just a completely different Cyborg that I've never seen before. Loved him. So this was a pretty interesting movie. Like I said, not my favorite of the DC Universe films, but a good one nevertheless, and one I would definitely recommend checking it out. It was interesting. So if you like DC Universe movies, see Justice League War. It's a fun watch. Again, not my favorite of the DC Universe movies, but still a damn good movie, and one I would highly recommend checking out. Then I watched a movie that a lot of people just really, really dislike, and that is Home on the Range. This year being Disney's last, hand-drawn classic animated movie until they did Princess and the Frog. And I remember seeing this film, and I actually remember really liking it, and I rewatched it again. I've only seen the movie like 2 times before. Rewatched it for the 3rd time, and still really liked it. Now, with that being said, certainly not one of Disney's best. This is not one of the best animated Disney movies by far. It's one of their weakest. But with that being said, it's a Disney film. I mean, calling... I mean, I think I said something like this in the last video I did. Last video you watched I did. It's a Disney film. So yes, it might not be the best, but it's still a Disney movie. So it's still great. It's still amazing. It's still Disney. So definitely something to check out. I still really enjoy this movie, and I would say it's something everybody should see. I know it was a box office flop. I know a lot of people just didn't care for it too much, but in the end, I think it's still a fun animated Disney movie, and I really do enjoy this. Very interesting. I'd recommend checking out if you have the special features on it. They talk about what the movie was going to be before it went in this direction, and I actually think it's pretty cool about like the ghost and stuff. I actually really like what the movie was gonna be. I kind of wish they actually would have done that, would have stuck to the original story. Probably would have been a better movie, but in the end, it's still a fun, interesting movie. I would still recommend checking it out, even though it's not one of Disney's best. It's still okay in my book. It's a Disney film. Disney just can't really do wrong when it comes to their masterpiece movies. I really enjoy them. I like them all. Some are better than others, of course, but in the end, I enjoy every single one of them. And Home on the Range, just another one that I definitely do enjoy. One I'd recommend checking out. Then I watched a pretty interesting and disturbing documentary, and that is Declassified, Human Experimentation. This is a documentary all about experiments that the U.S. government did on U.S. citizens without them even knowing about it. Fucked up stuff right here. This is all real stuff. This isn't like conspiracy theory type stuff. This is all real documented things that have actually happened. Them, spraying chemicals on people, and when they were testing the atom bombs and hydrogen bombs and stuff like that, like actually bringing soldiers out and not cluing them into, hey, by the way, this is really dangerous for you, but hey, let's all come out and see this bomb go off. And what they were really doing was testing, what's the radiation going to do to these people? Things like that. And again, testing stuff on U.S. citizens, spreading chemicals around cities and on schools, and people who had like diseases and stuff doing tests on them, like pumping them through like full of chemicals and stuff to do tests and experimentations on them. Pretty messed up. In fact, a lot of times in this documentary, they compare what the U.S. government was doing to the citizens as like what Nazis were doing, like experiments on like Jews and stuff like that, like weird medical experiments and stuff like that. It's a good comparison. It's pretty messed up. And I'm not like, oh, I'm anti-America or anything like that, not by far. But it just goes to show you that, even though, yeah, we're America, we're great, we have, we're not perfect. This country, even though it might be better than other countries, sure, it's not great. Our government is not exactly, squeaky clean. In fact, we have one of the worst and corrupt governments in the entire world. We're a government run by corporations. We're a capitalist country. That's not good. And watching things like this, it's like, holy shit, there you go. You think everybody in Russia has it bad or stuff like that. Well, we don't have it much better. The only difference is that our government's a lot better at hiding things and making people think that stuff never happened, and other countries aren't necessarily. And they, unlike other countries where they'll do something bad and they come out and say, yep, we did that, deal with it, tough shit. Our country kind of goes, oh no, we never did that, and gets, sneaks his way around, ever letting anybody know that things ever happened. So again, it's just real eye-opener here. Check this one out. It's a pretty messed up documentary. You're going to learn some really fucked up things the government did to its citizens. Really messed up. And the fact that it's still apparently continuing on to this day. They're still doing things that we don't necessarily know about. And also the fact that people tried to like sue the government to because people died of like cancer and stuff like that from these experiments they did on it. And they tried to sue, and the government basically said, no, we're not going to pay. They paid like one person back, and that's it. The other groups, they didn't pay back. And as it turns out, they can do this. There's actually, I don't remember if it was in the Constitution or something, but there is a law that states that the governments can do this. They can do experiments. There's nothing you can do about it. They have 100% the right to do this. And if they want to do experiments on any of us, so be it. By law, they are safe. They can do anything they want. Court ruled in the government's favor because the court couldn't do anything about it. There's a law saying that the government can do this. Things like that. Messed up. So watch it. It's crazy. Anyway, on a lighter note, then I got into a series that I was really looking forward to checking out, and I'm loving it, and that was season 1 of The Middle. Really, really enjoying this show. It's sort of, again, to use another TV show with the word middle, and it's kind of like Malcolm in the Middle, but a bit more adult, I guess you could say, in the sense that it isn't so kiddie down. It's almost like a PG-13 sort of series where there's a little bit of cussing, not like bad words. Obviously, they can only put so much on. What was this on the WB? They can only do. Or this was on WB. This is on ABC, wasn't it? This is a Warner Brothers produced TV show. It's like a Warner Brothers TV show, but on ABC, which is a Disney station. I don't really get that one myself. But anyway, so, they're showing on ABC. They're showing on Disney. You can only get away with so much. But there are, adult situations. There are, a little bit of language. It's little things like that here and there. Like some things they talk about. Some things I'm like, wow, this is, a little edgy. Not very edgy. It's not way over the edge where you're like, wow, how are they getting away with putting on this on ABC? No, but it's a little bit edgy to the point where it's really enjoyable, and I love seeing where they go with certain things. And it's a situational comedy. It's all like narrated by the mother. Very interesting, and I would definitely recommend checking. I have no voice. I would definitely recommend checking this one out. It's a great series. A great I don't know if I want to say sitcom. I guess it's a sitcom, but definitely a really enjoyable series. And if you like things like Malcolm in the Middle, but you want to see Malcolm in the Middle a bit more edgy and kind of I don't know, not so watered down. Definitely something to check out. Very, very enjoyable. And if you're a family person, check this one out too, because there are certainly a lot of things in this I can relate to. So very cool. Then I watched 2 movies that one movie that didn't do very well in the box office is actually considered a box office flop, which I think is a a shame. But the good news is at least this movie, once it was out of the box office and put on the DVD and Blu-ray and stuff, it got more well known, and I don't think anybody these days, well, I'm sure some people do, but for the most part, I think a majority of people consider this movie to be great, and I would agree. And the two movies I watched were The Emperor's New Groove and Kronk's New Groove. Now, like I was saying, Emperor's New Groove technically did not do very well in the theaters. It was considered a Disney flop. Home on the Range, Emperor's New Groove, what else was there? Atlantis, and Treasure Planet were considered flops, which, I mean, Home on the Range, I can kind of see. I'm like, if this movie flopped, I kind of get it. But Emperor's New Groove is great. I thought Atlantis was really good as well. And I also thought Treasure Planet was also really good. It's a shame those movies flopped. But at least once Emperor's New Groove got released to, VHS and DVD and stuff, I think a lot of people got more into it and sort of realized that it is really good. It's a very funny, great Disney movie. And I really hold high standards to this one because this is the movie that really got me back into Disney. I think I've told you this story before. This is the movie that, this is before I started getting into collecting, really. I saw this movie in the theaters. I went with my girlfriend at the time. We saw it in theaters, and I fell in love with Disney all over again. Because what ended up happening was, of course, as a kid, I loved Disney. I loved all the classics. I used to watch those at my grandmother's house. She had all the Masterpiece and the Diamond Collection VHS releases on, the great Disney clamshells. So I grew up watching Alice in Wonderland and Cinderella and Snow White and Bambi and all the classics. I watched all those as a kid, loved them. But then I also grew up on things like Little Mermaid and The Lion King and Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast. That was kind of my time period as a kid. But once things like Mulan, Hunchback of Notre Dame, what else was there? I'm trying to think of other stuff that was out. Tarzan, things like movies like that, Brother Bear and stuff like that. Movies like that. I wasn't into Disney at that point. At that point, I was a kid in middle school and high school, and Disney. Who cares about Disney? You know what I mean? Like, I was just some stupid, cocky teenage kid who didn't really, didn't think much of stupid Disney cartoons. But then once I ended up seeing Emperor's New Groove, and I saw it in theaters, and I absolutely loved the movie. It rekindled my love affair with Disney, and I fell in love with Disney all over again. Like, I was like, I got to see Mulan, I got to see Tarzan, I got to see Hunchback, and I ended up loving all of them. Hercules, there's another one, loved them. I kicked myself for ever not seeing those. I couldn't believe that. I was such a stupid teenager and did not. I missed out on all those movies, seeing them in theaters and stuff like that, and hadn't seen them for years. And of course now, Disney, I'm a huge Disney nut when it comes to, not only Disney World, but also just Disney movies. I love Disney. And again, this is what rekindled my love affair with Disney. And then, of course, once I got into collecting movies, things really went crazy, and I bought like every Disney movie ever made. So I love this movie. It's extremely funny, just very, very well done, just highly enjoyable. I crack up laughing on it. Kronk, he does really steal this movie, and I guess that's why he gets his own sequel. But it's just a brilliant story about these people trying to kill the Emperor, and the Emperor having to befriend somebody who was trying to screw over, because the Emperor is, of course, a complete douchebag, and in the end becomes like a nice guy. One of those stories, but really well done. If you haven't seen The Emperor's New Groove for some reason, see it. It's a brilliant Disney film. And then we had the sequel, Kronk's New Groove, which I also watched because I'd only seen it once before. Oh, and by the way, I did watch these in Blu-ray. This here's the DVD Blu-ray combo pack in the DVD case, but I watched these in high definition. They looked beautiful. So, Kronk's New Groove, like I said, I'd seen it once before, and I remember thinking it was alright, and it is okay. But in typical Disney fashion, it's not like one story. It's kind of like one story, but with a bunch of different stories within those. I think it's like 2 or 3 stories in Kronk's New Groove. It's typical. I don't know why like Disney sequels are like that so often. I don't know why they can't just why can't they just make one continuous story? Why they got to keep like putting 3 15-minute stories or 20-minute stories or whatever? Why they got to just stick a bunch of those in one movie and then put it all together with some filler? It drives me nuts when they do that, and that's what we get with Kronk's New Groove. Luckily, I think they steered a little bit away from that. At least the sequels nowadays are kind of being all one story, which is great, but this was still, again, in that time period of doing movies like that, which was kind of a shame. But all in all, it's okay. I'd say it's one of the better Disney sequels, because Disney sequels can be very, very hit or miss, and I'd say this is one of the better ones. It's not great, but it is it is decent. If if you got this double feature set and you're just going to sit down and watch Emperor's New Groove, hell, afterwards, why not watch Kronk's New Groove? It's worth checking out. It's got some funny moments in it. It's an okay movie. Again, not one of the greatest Disney stories ever, but as far as a sequel goes, it's all right. Then a movie that I've been hearing such great things about over the years. I mean, this movie, I think it won a bunch of awards. Yeah, won a whole bunch of awards. So many people say good things about this, and I just hadn't gotten around to seeing it, so I figured it was finally time to check it out, and that was Magnolia. And I'm sure you're going, what? This is your first time seeing this? Yes, my first time ever watching this movie, and I see what all the hoopla was about. This was a really well done story. I loved all the characters in it, and no, I'm not going to go into the plot too much because I don't want to ruin anything for you. See this movie, but I loved every character. I love the story. I love how all the characters kind of came together, and all their lives kind of intermingled, and how they all work together. Very well done story. A little long, I'll give you that. Prepare to watch a long movie, long story, but in the end, very, very enjoyable. And all the hoopla, it lived up to that. Definitely, all the great things I've been hearing over the years, totally lived up to all those. So Magnolia is one I would recommend checking out. Very interesting story. I can't really say enough about this, but I'm not going to say too much because I don't want to go into the plot. I don't want to spoil this one for you. I don't want to tell you everything that happened and just, be one huge spoiler here. I know I do that a lot, but in this case, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to say see this one. I'm sure many of you have, but if you're like me and you hadn't seen this movie, check it out. It lives up to the hype. Magnolia was great. Then this was awesome. Had to check this out. This was just sent to me by one of my viewers. And that was Minor Threat Live, this year being at the 930 Club in Washington, D.C. on June 23rd, 1983. Big Minor Threat fan. Great. I love just classic 80s hardcore. Such a great band. Been a big fan of them ever since, I guess I got into them middle school when I bought their discography CD. I just fell in love with them. And this was a great video of them just playing live and just hearing them kick ass. And it's great to see Ian being himself and watch really seeing what he's like on stage. So very, very cool. Definitely something I would highly recommend checking out if you can get your hands on. I mean, this isn't something you're gonna come across all the time, but if you're a Minor Threat fan and you come across this one, it's worth picking up. It's worth definitely checking out. The video quality is actually pretty good. I mean, it's far as what you're getting from when this was shot and it being on VHS, it's not the best video quality, but it was better than other stuff I've seen. I have seen some other live performance VHS tapes. Even I'm talking ones like this. This is a real release. This isn't a bootleg release. It's a real release here. And I've seen other ones that are just really bad. I'm like, how is this something with a UPC code on? How is this something people buy? It was put on the market. The picture quality just looks like complete ass. But this was actually pretty decent as far as picture quality and even sound quality goes. It was all right. So check this one out if you're a Minor Threat fan. There's no reason not to. It was a great watch. And then the last trailer I'm going to talk about was RV. This is one I had wanted to see for some time now, but unfortunately, every time I came across this, it was two problems. One, it was in full screen, which is what happened 99% of the time. Or the other 1% when I actually came across this and it wasn't full screen, the disc was always scratched. But I finally got a copy of it, so I wanted to watch this one right away, and it was pretty decent. It wasn't anything amazing. It was okay. It's just a family-friendly comedy about this family in an RV on the road. And, of course, the father, he's all concerned about his job, and he's hiding the fact that they're going on this RV trip that they're supposed to go to Hawaii, but he convinced him to go on this RV trip instead. But he's hiding the fact that he's doing this because he has to go to a business meeting, and he's hiding these business meetings from his family. And of course, in the end, the family finds out about this, and they're all pissed off at him. But in the end, he realizes that family's more important than the business, and of course, quits the business. It's typical, cookie cutter. It's not exactly a story you haven't seen before. You know what's coming. You're gonna watch this one, and you're gonna know exactly what's gonna happen every step of the way. But if that's your type of thing, if you like these just family-friendly, fun comedies, it is worth checking out. It was enjoyable. Had some funny moments in it. Robin Williams is pretty decent. I did enjoy him. And all in all, it was a fun watch. It's nothing amazing. It's nothing you need to see. I'm certainly not going to say that. But if you've been thinking about checking out RV, if it's something you've been thinking about seeing, it is worth checking out. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I could even see myself watching this sometime again down the line. I definitely see myself watching this with my kids sometime. Once my kids are old enough to really enjoy movies like this, I'll definitely watch this with them. Like I said, it is a family-friendly comedy, and I can see me and my kids sitting down having a good laugh together with this one. So, RV, pretty decent, but nothing amazing. It's cookie cutter, but still, I'd recommend checking it out. So there you go, guys. That is it. That is it for all the titles that I've recently been watching. A lot of great stuff here. Pretty much, yeah, it recommends, I guess, everything. Yeah, I didn't watch a single title that I wouldn't recommend. I'd say definitely check out everything, and they were all great movies. So anyway, guys, that is it. So like I always say, if you like this video, please give me a like. If you're not already subbed, please do. And if you're not already over at cinemasickness.com, head on over there, check it out. A lot more to see there than just these videos. All kinds of things on deals and stuff going on out there. If you're a hunter, a cinema hunter, you definitely want to stop by there and check out everything that's going on. A lot going on with Team Sickness as well. And of course, while you're there, be sure to click on the shop tab and purchase yourself a Cinema Sickness sticker and or a Cinema Sickness button. They're dirt cheap, and I would appreciate the support. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.